Number 5 is talking about the order. That's just the dimension. And we do dimension row by column, so there are 2 rows and 3 columns. So this is a 2 by 3. Row by column, there's 1 row and 2 columns, so this is a 1 by 2. And then there are 3 rows and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So 3 by 5. On number 6, it says graph the linear inequalities. So this is a linear function. All I need to do is graph the y-intercept, the slope, and then think about the shading and the line. So the y-intercept is -5, and my slope is 1/9. So if I go up 1 and over 9, and down 1 to the left 9. Now when I connect this, the answer is everything that satisfies this inequality, right? Well, it just says less than this line, so it can't actually include the line, which is why you're going to use a dotted line to connect them. And then it says less than, so less than would be below the line, which is why you should shade below, or pick the one that's shaded below. The next one, it says y is greater than or equal to the line -3x plus 4. So y-intercept is 4. The slope is -3, so that means go down 3 into the right 1. 1, 2, 3, down 1. 1, 2, 3, down 1. 3, down 1. And you do need to span the graph. Or up 3 into the left 1. And it does say greater than or equal to, which means we're going to make that a solid line, because the line is included in the answer. And then it says greater than, so the easiest way to do it is pick any point on the line and draw an arrow up. Drawing an arrow up puts me in this piece of it, this half. So that is the shaded region. The next one is x is less than or equal to -7. So no matter what the y is, x is less than or equal to -7. So on the x-axis, here's -7. And less than or equal to -7 means solid line, because equal to, and then less than -7. Okay, so that's why this one looks like this. Whereas the next one, y is greater than 4. So here's the y-axis. Y is 4, not including 4, but greater than means always above. And so that's why that one looks like that. Number 10, for the rational equation, write the value or values that make the denominator 0. So looking at it, the denominator would be 0 at x equals 0, so x cannot equal 0. And then as far as solving the equation, this is it's got denominators, and I just want to simplify it so I don't have to worry about denominators anymore. So the thing that, or the common denominator, that both 2x, 3x, or 2x, 3x, and 3 all go into. It needs to have a 2, it needs to have an x, and it needs to have a 3. So I think if I have a 2, an x, and a 3, then I have all of these represented, which means I just need a 6x. So you can either, I'm going to write the problem again and do it a couple ways. You can either just do common denominator and say I'm going to multiply this by 3. I'm going to multiply this by 2. I'm going to multiply this by 2x. And then they all have 6x, 6x, and 6x is the common denominator, right? So then I get 21 minus 10 equals 44x all over the common denominator, but the common denominator is already common. So I don't have to worry about making those equal to each other. So I really just solve the numerators. And then I get, because technically this is what's happening, but I don't need to worry about it, so I just solve 21 minus 10 is 11, and that means x equals 1/4. So that is my answer. What I was going to say is that instead of doing that, instead of doing like individual pieces, you could just multiply by the common denominator. So 6x and 2x simplify down to just 3, so that would be 21. 6x divided by 3x is 2, so 2 times 5 is 10. And 6x divided by 3 is 2x, so that would be 44x. And then you see how you get the same thing. And just so you can see that, that would be 6x times 7 divided by 2x minus 6x times 5 divided by 3x equals 6x times 22 thirds. And you can see how the x is simplified and 6 divided by 2 is 3. The x is simplified and 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. And there we go. Other way. Part B. All right, so looking right off the bat for restrictions, y cannot equal 1 because that would be a denominator undefined, or denominator 0, which is undefined. As far as solving goes, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by y minus 1, because I don't like having a variable in the denominator. And I get y plus 2 equals 8 over 3 times y minus 1. I still don't want to have that fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And I end up with 3y plus 6 equals 8y minus 8. I'm going to get the y's on the same side. I'm going to move the 3y over just to keep my y's positive. So that it's going to be 5y. And then I'm going to add the 8 over and I get 14. So y equals 14 fifths. Oh, 14 fifths. 14 fifths. Okay. On this one it says solve this equation for r. R is being multiplied by t, so the reverse would be to divide. Okay. On this one it says solve for w. Right now w is being multiplied, or is being added to k and then multiplied by 1/3, so the opposite would be to multiply by 3. And so I get 3a equals k plus w, so w equals 3a minus k. For this one I want to solve for b, so t over b equals 1 minus t over a. I'm going to find a common denominator on this side, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by a. So I get t over b equals a minus t over the common denominator a. When you have a common denominator, you can combine the fractions. And then I'm going to multiply by b. So I get t equals a minus t over a times b. I'm not going to distribute it because I'm just trying to get b by itself. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of this fraction right here. I'm going to multiply by a over a minus t. A over a minus t. And I get b equals at over a minus t. There's a couple different ways to work that, but that's just one of the basic ones. So we go from here to here, and then to here, and then up to there. Okay. On number 1, module 3, we're going to graph the square root. Now I'm doing a lot of things without a calculator. Obviously, if you have the calculator with you, that is an advantage that you can use. Although don't let it slow you down. So just as far as transformations go, remember that this goes to the right 2 and up and down 4, actually. To the right 2 and down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as far as what the 3 does, it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 3. So over 1 up 1, over 4 up 2, over 9 up 3. Just remember the pattern for those square roots. Remember a square root is that. And then a vertical stretch by a factor of 3 means this is going to be 3, this is going to be 6, and this is going to be 9. Now, I will say, they don't learn about horizontal stretch compression in college algebra, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? It'll only be vertical. So over 1 up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 4 up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then as far as over 9 and up 9, we can't see it. It will be 1 over 1, 2, 3. It will be like right there, just to give me a goal. And it doesn't say anything about domain and range, so there we go. For number 2, give the equation of the function of the absolute value of x that has been shrunk by. So that means a vertical compression. Shifted up 5 and reflected over the y-axis. Okay, so reflection over the y-axis is on the interior. So this is going to be f of x equals a vertical compression by a factor 1/3. Inside the absolute value of ours, we've got x, and then we've got a negative, and then up 5 means plus 5. And there we go. Now, I will say, if they had had left or right, which I doubt they would, with that, then you would have had to put it inside with the x, but then the negative would have had to been outside the parentheses. as far as transformations go. Okay, solve the following equations by factoring. So you want to get everything on the same side, so I'm going to subtract 3x and subtract 10. The factors of negative 10 that add up to negative 3 are negative 5 and 2, positive 2. So my answers are 5 and negative 2. On this one, this doesn't have a constant, which means we factor out the common factor. Factor out an x, you're left with x times x plus 15. So my answers are 0 and negative 15. And then for this one, 8 times negative 7 is negative 56. We're looking for the factors of negative 56 that add up to 10. So if it's 8 and 7, then that means 2 times 4 times 7. So that's 14 and 4. 14 and 4. Okay, so I need to add up to positive 10, so negative 4. Multiply to give me negative. So x plus 14, x minus 4. But don't forget to divide by 8. So that's x plus 7 fourths. Yeah. And x minus a half. So my answers are negative 7 fourths and positive 1/2. Okay. If you do not like bottoms up, then you can also do factor by grouping. 8x squared plus 10x minus 7 equals 0. So you got to do the same process figuring out 14 and negative 4. And then the order doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and put the negative 4 first. So negative 4x plus 14x. So you just rewrite 10x as negative 4x plus 14x. And then minus 7 equals 0. And then factor by grouping. So we factor out a 4x and we're left with 2x minus 1. We factor out a 7 and you're left with 2x minus 1. You factor out the 2x minus 1 and you're left with 4x plus 7. And so then you set each of these equal to 0. 2x minus 1 equals 0. Add the 1 divided by 2, you get 1/2. Subtract the 7 divided by 4, you get negative 7 fourths. So that's factor by grouping. When it says the square root property, it means like use a square root to undo the square. So we're just going to solve. So 2x squared equals, we're going to add the 8 over, which makes it negative 200. We're going to divide by 2, which makes it negative 100. We're going to take the square root, and when you take a square root, there are two answers, plus and minus the square root of negative 200, or negative 100, which means x equals plus and minus 10i. On this one, solve using the square root property, get x by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is divide by 30. X plus 8 quantity squared is 12. Then we're going to take the square root. Now this one's a little bit interesting because it's in the middle of the process. So plus and minus the square root of 12. And the square root of 12 is 2 root 3. So then we're going to subtract 8. I like to put the 8 in front, although you can put it in the end. But I'm going to say negative 8 plus and minus 2 root 3. So we subtract 8 over and just put it in front. That's page 3.